Janine Ron asks, you are given carte blanche by Hollywood bigwigs to remake anything. Anything. No questions asked, no limits on the purse strings. Which do you choose? Boy, that's a tough one. You know, I'll just give you my knee-jerk reaction, because my knee-jerk reaction is as useless as anything else. I would remake Omega Man. I just would remake the Omega Man. I thought it was a terrific movie. And they did, of course. They've made it 3 times. I think Vincent Price was it Last Man on Earth, and then Omega Man, and then they did it with Will Smith a couple years ago. I forget it. It's the same story, basically. It's about a guy who, there's a biological plague, and he's a researcher, and while they're working on the plague, he works for the military, and he gives himself an injection, and he develops immunity to this plague, and the whole world burns down, and there's just a few survivors, and the survivors are trying. I Am Legend is what it was called. And basically he goes around fighting vampires all night, goes out there in the daytime and finds out where they are and kills them, comes back home to his fortress, and and lives essentially completely alone and in a state of pretty much perpetual fear. Now, the Charlton Heston version was so much better than the other two because Charlton Heston doesn't really act. He does something that's like acting. It's very much like acting, but it's not acting. Charlton Heston has a spigot somewhere, and when they say action, Charlton Heston turns on the chuck. He turns on the Heston, and then something comes out that's just incredible, but it's not acting exactly. Who else delivers a line that way and gets away with it? Get your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape. And who else has a line like, I was the golden boy, class of '69, and you buy it? And who else can get off of a horse, go down on his knees, literally down on his knees, pound the sand? He's literally pounding sand. You bastards, you blew it up. You blew it up. God damn you. Anyway, if you haven't seen the Omega Man, this is Chuck doing that, and Chuck is he's just a hardcore badass, and he's driving around in a convertible, and he goes to see a movie, and he comes out of the movie. He has to go up and start the projector, obviously. Comes out of the movie and realizes it's getting dark. Goes back to his castle, fights off a couple of these zombies. Goes up to the top floor, turns on all the floodlights because these former humans just can't stand the light. And he just sits up there and plays chess with a bust of Julius Caesar, upon which he hangs his Air Force colonel's cap. And he can hear them outside calling him, Neville, Neville. Then they start launching like a, the survivors are so determined to avoid another biological war, because it was a biological weapon that did it. It wasn't just a plague that came out. It was a biological attack. They're determined that no more machines, so they start launching like fireballs at him with a catapult, which of course is a machine, but you get the idea. No guns, because otherwise it'd be too easy. And he just sits there, and he gets up. This burning tumbleweed of hay comes through his window and starts to set the red velvet curtains on fire. And Chuck just immediately gets up. He's got a fire extinguisher right there. He's ready to go. Puts out the fire, grabs something, looks like a 30-06, walks out to the balcony, and just starts dropping these guys. And they all scream and run away. And you're all behind him, and you're all thinking, Chuck is awesome. And yeah, Anthony Zerbe, thank you, Walt Goose. He was amazing. Anthony Zerbe was the villain. He was terrific. And so you're with Chuck the whole way. I mean, how could you not be with Chuck Heston, for God's sakes? He's Western man. He's civilization. He's got guns, and he's trying to stay alive, and he's trying to find other people, and these things are trying to kill him. But the beautiful thing about that movie that they never really got to in the Omega Man, this is why I would remake it. I would remake it the way that I'd keep all of that action stuff and all of that cool stuff, and then I would do the one thing that they didn't do in the Omega Man, and they certainly didn't do in I Am Legend, but which was in fact the entire reason why that story was told. And I don't remember who wrote it, but you're going to tell me in a second. I'm sure it must have been Philip K. Dick or somebody like that. Some classic sci-fi story. The entire point of that movie was his realization at the end that he is the vampire. They're not the vampires. He's the vampire. He is the one who goes into their houses while they're sleeping and kills them. And that's all he's been doing for the last 7, 8 years, is going into these are actual people, he realizes. It's not just animals, they're actual human beings. And he comes to realize that he is the monster because he has killed thousands of them. And he goes around in the daytime looking for nests of them and just gunning them down when they're absolutely helpless. And he's the villain. The hero's the villain. It's just great. It's just a great story. I have to tell you, I'm so embarrassed to admit this. I really am, because where did it go? Let me make sure I credit this right. Richard might have been Richard Matheson. Where'd it go? Hang on a second. I just want to get the names, you know. Well, I'm sorry. I don't want to spend the whole evening scrolling down. Somebody just not too long ago said he thought I was going to go for Buckaroo Banzai and swerved at the last minute, and I'm embarrassed to say that it never crossed my mind. But now that it has crossed my mind, I take it back. I'd remake Buckaroo Banzai without question. That'd be the movie I would remake without question. But Omega Man would be second. Maybe I'd make Buckaroo Banzai as Omega Man. Sarge 56 wants to know who would be my leading man, I guess, in the Omega Man remake. That's a good question. Richard Simmons is probably too expensive. Let me think. Oh, I almost had it. Maybe Daniel Day-Lewis. Maybe Daniel Day-Lewis. That guy can do anything. And he's a tough-looking guy. Yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis, I think. All right. Anyway, that was fun. Moving on.